About 10, 15 years ago, I began noticing that a particular set of testimonies known by the acronym SPICES, simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and sustainability or stewardship, they were being treated as if they were the testimonies to the exclusion of all others. That then led me into the question, well, what are testimonies? Where do they come from? Do these go all the way back to George Fox? Did he come down from Pendle Hill with a stone tablet that had simplicity, peace, integrity? I didn't think so, but I didn't know. I'm Paul Buckley. I live in Richmond, Indiana, and I attend Clear Creek Friends Meeting, which is part of Ohio Valley Yearly Meeting. What is a testimony? It seemed to me that there were 5 essential characteristics when you talk about a Quaker testimony. First of all, that it originates in God. And if that term God isn't one that you use, that's not what's critical here. What's critical is that it comes from outside of me. It comes from beyond politics or schooling or something I read in a book. It's something that I have been given that has touched me in my soul. Secondly, a testimony has to testify. It's got to be outward public behavior. Something that I do privately by myself might be a deeply held belief, but it doesn't testify. Third, a testimony, if it's a Quaker testimony, has to be communal. I have personal testimonies. I've been called to travel in the ministry. That's a testimony, but it's a personal one. The entire Society of Friends is not called to do those things. But there are some things that I feel we are called to as a community, and those deserve the label of being Quaker testimonies. 4, this is the good one, I think. Testimonies, and this goes back to the very beginning, are challenging. Early Friends, for example, wore what we call plain clothes. They didn't just wear them because it was something that Quakers did. They did it because they felt called to it by God. And they did it because wearing those plain clothes was a challenge to the people around them. Because what I am implicitly saying is, you don't need to spend extra money to look that way. And even more, a challenge to themselves, because you had to dress in a way that made you stand out from everyone else, that made you look somewhat ludicrous. And then finally, getting back to the characteristics, a testimony is rooted in love. If it doesn't come out of love, if it comes out of pride or it comes out of showing off in some way, not a testimony. It's an expression of love. So, 5 characteristics. If something doesn't have all 5, it's not a Quaker testimony. You can go back to the 1940s, and Howard Brenton wrote a Pendle Hill pamphlet in which he talked about what Quakerism is. And one of the things that he put in there was a statement about social testimonies. People began talking about these social testimonies more and more as being characteristics of being a friend. By the 1990s, somewhere I think probably in the mid-1990s, this particular acronym catches on. The research that I've done and that other people have done seems to indicate that early in the use of spices, it was for children. Spices became an easy way of telling children some Quaker values in a format that made it easy to remember. And it's catchy. It really is catchy. It's a great way to introduce these things to kids. And people realize, well, that's a pretty good way of answering the question from the newcomer on Sunday morning who says, well, what do Quakers believe? Well, trot out the spices. Well, we believe in peace and integrity and, simplicity. You don't want to forget that one. One thing that we've lost when we put so much emphasis on spices is that these testimonies, all testimonies, are fruits of the Spirit. They're things that we're led into by God. But by using spices so frequently, we lose that sense of them being the products of our relationship with God and begin thinking about them as if they're the roots. They can be a good way of starting things if you recognize how little they are. And if you don't use them as a substitute for really thinking about, well, what are my testimonies? What do I think is important as an individual and as a member of the Society of Friends, so that when that newcomer asks the question, I don't just rattle off simplicity, peace, integrity, blah, blah, and I'm done. You need to be open to that divine nudge, or in some cases, that divine shove that says, here's what I need you to do. And you don't go and check, well, is it in the list? You say, yes. If this is what God's calling me to do, I need to do it. That's Quaker testimony. We need to get beyond just these few things. There's a treasure house, and spices to that newcomer on Sunday morning, spices could be a way of saying, well, there's the door. But if you just point at the door and that's it, you haven't given that newcomer what they need to know. They need to go and open the door if they really want to know the richness of what it means to be a friend.
Thank you for watching this episode of QuakerSpeak. If you like this episode, please leave a comment and a thumbs up so we can reach even more friends. For more videos, click this playlist here. To subscribe to QuakerSpeak, click this here. And to support us, click here. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thursday.